Do you believe the body's designed to heal? I do. There's several things that we need to do to improve its ability to regenerate on a daily basis, because aging is essentially having more degeneration than regeneration in any day.
Relying on like telomeres, which those are, pretty much inaccurate, or even the true age test where you're looking at the methylation of the DNA. That's fascinating. But man, when you can get an ultrasound and see the size of an organ and the blood flow there and a full body image, I think that's where we can tell a lot more about the human body.
Hopefully the consumer will demand. People will go like, no, my health is my greatest asset in my life, right? It pales in comparison to anything in your frickin' bank account or your asset, right? Your health, if you don't have your health, you have nothing.
All right. Good morning and welcome everybody to the Unreasonable Health Podcast. This is your host of the morning, Cade Archibald, and I'm really excited about today's podcast. We got a really cool interview that I'm going to be showcasing today, and so really excited to share that. Before we jump in on that, just a few things. So last night we had our Health Accelerator community or challenges, our hack. If you are not a part of our Health Accelerator challenges community, please check that out. You can go to acueastwest.com/hack. That's HAC. This is where we go through, we have weekly challenges on how you can accelerate your health. And it's an amazing community that you can tap into and learn from. So check it out. Go to the site. This is where Reagan, myself, as well as some of our health advisors here at East West Health go through different challenges. And so I love it. Really fun community. And so make sure everyone's following through with the challenge that was presented yesterday with Reagan. And along with that, I'm going to go through the peptide of the day. Now, this is a mitochondrial-derived peptide. I'll let you guys maybe guess it if you're following along live. So our peptide of the week, this is a mitochondrial-derived peptide composed of 16 amino acids. It's a protein transferred to the nucleus during metabolic stress, direct expression of nuclear genes to promote cell balance. It's also been referred to as like exercise in a bottle. So drum roll, please. Can anyone guess live? See if anyone can guess what the peptide of the week is based on some of those things. Think of exercise in a bottle. It is a mitochondrial peptide that really helps with increasing your mitochondrial function, energy. There we go, Allie. Nice work. MOTS-C. So the peptide of the week is MOTS-C. It is just an amazing energy booster. So if you're out there dealing with a lot of fatigue, just feel run down, maybe you got some mitochondrial dysfunction, MOTS-C will be fantastic for you. So thanks for playing along, everybody live. We got some smarty pants out there that nailed it. Thanks for playing along, everybody. All right, so today I'll jump into today's topic, which is really interesting, intriguing interview. So Reagan did a podcast earlier this week, and so I'm going to play that for everyone. And so before we jump in, I'm going to introduce the guest. So everybody knows Reagan Archibald, at least if you're listening to this for the first time. Reagan Archibald's founder of East West Health and Go Wellness. He's a world-renowned author, multi-book author of Never Stop Healing, Your Health Transformation, and most recently, The Peptide Blueprint. He's also a functional medicine provider, acupuncturist, and brilliant. And top it off, he's also my brother, which I'm pretty proud of. So he interviews a really, really cool doctor in today's episode, Dr. David Hasse. And Dr. David Hasse is very curious physician, received his medical degree from Vanderbilt University, went on to residency at the Mayo Clinic in Rochester, Minnesota. He's double board certified family medicine, integrated holistic medicine. He founded the Maxwell Clinic as a living laboratory to explore what creates health. And that was back about 20 years ago. He's in Brentwood, Tennessee. Multiple clinicians working with him. They're dedicated to innovation in longevity, nutrition, genomics, systems, biology, and brain optimization. So most recently, he really loves to their big thing is cognitive decline and finding ways of improving that. And so you're going to learn a little bit about how they do that. They've been pioneering an approach to slow, halt, and even reverse the mechanisms of aging and progression of cognitive decline. And so without further ado, I'm going to pull this up, but this is a really, really intriguing podcast where Reagan Archibald is interviewing. Let's see. I want to make sure I get this right here for everyone, but you will see the interview between Reagan Archibald and David Hasse. And here we go.
Well, I'm so excited today to have my good friend, David Hasse on, Dr. David Hasse. But it's so nice to have you. And thanks so much for your wisdom, your intelligence, and for being on Reasonable Health today. And so let's just kick this off. And you're doing a lot of fascinating things in the world of medicine and research. What are the couple of things that keep you up late at night exploring and keep you happy and motivated and excited to meet with your next client?
Reagan, first of all, thank you for having me on. You do such great work, and you're an advocate for like health that really matters, and I really respect that about you. Yeah, so it's fun to get to be on this journey with people like you, right? As we're being curious about what it is to really human well. Right? How do we not just live longer, but how do we really live better and enjoy the journey? So, well, you asked me what keeps me up at night. Well, I would say the love of a really wonderful partner is my favorite way to be kept up at night.
So can you tell me about that.
Well, I mean, that gets into a lot of detail. So no, but I mean, I don't stay up at night worrying, for heaven's sakes. But I will tell you, I get woken in the morning very early by my REM process that tends to my dream state, essentially pulling me back into the waking state with yet like, oh, we could do that. And so that happens a lot for me. And we are living in the most amazing time in medical history. Absolutely. Our capacity for understanding our problems and the multiplicity of new solutions that are here is just fun as can be. And since kind of my desire has always been to kind of discern what's wise and works, out of this huge multitude of interventions people could do on their health, it's a great time to be alive. I get to getting to be in so many new spaces. So, yeah, well, where would you like me to start? I mean, I could talk about our work with plasma exchange, our multi-omic studies, our human potential hematopoietic stem cell stuff. It's like I said, it's a lot of fun.
Man, I love it all, and you guys will get to know that David's someone who is one of the most open-hearted humans you'll ever meet. Not typically found in the medical profession, which is a lot of heads. We get stuck in our heads. You're someone who's accessed your heart. I guess before we jump into all the science. How did you access your heart in such a way? Like, you're always so loving and open. It's impressive.
Well, I say there's a lot of aspects of how did I get to be where I was through pain, right? Through pain. I think one of the worst things we can do is to be in denial of our pain or our symptoms or our problems. I think denial is the number one comorbidity for a sucky life. and that was really the first thing we can do. And I don't like bullshit. I really don't. I don't like, I want the steak, not the sizzle. I'm not always the best guy at marketing things because I think there's nuance to just about everything in a human experience in healthcare and such. And I think for myself, I have this mantra that our job here at Maxwell Clinic is to discern and deliver what's wise and works. And that is this, when you start to apply it to yourself and you become committed to finding and addressing underlying causes, you realize, wow, we carry around a lot of stories in our head about what we are, right? Yeah. And I think there's several realizations that came to me. One is that we're just here now. And any kind of story we're carrying about ourselves is literally just a neurologic pattern of something in our past. It doesn't actually exist. The past does not exist, except in our own memories that we're both conscious of and unconscious and subconscious of, right? And once you can give yourself that freedom to say, wow, I made it. I made it. I'm here today. Ta-da! So I must have done something right. We love to blame and beat ourselves up all the time, but we made it. If you're listening today, congratulations. You made it to today. So everything you did must have been good enough. So how about you just, those things that you're upset about or don't care, give yourself forgiveness. Forgiveness literally means let go, to let go. And so now if you let go of shame and guilt, amazing what options are open to you. Now all of a sudden you're looking forward. You're going like, oh, great. Well, if this moment is all that really is, I really want my next moments to be even better, right? And and I think what happens once I gave myself compassion and I said, wow, I really have tried and done the best I can, and I've done some good things, and I have a whole bunch of opportunities to learn, to go and do things better. Then everything started to shift, and when you recognize your own. When you give yourself the freedom to forgive yourself, you want to give that freedom to everybody else. You realize that everybody's stuck in the prison that is their own mind. Yeah. And give people the permission to say, forgive yourself for wherever you were. And now, engage life fully. Try to figure out this multitude of different systems that lead towards the human experience. Your biologic, your human experience is driven by your biology, your beliefs, the structure of your mind, your social interactions, your connectedness with others and with the divine, your genetic code, your behaviors, your, the alignment of your spine, the way you sleep. It all matters. Yeah. And I think the fun part is once you start to open yourself to going for it, right? Just go for it. Yeah. Now it just gets to be a game. What are the things that we could make better? And so I guess I have just learned to accept myself. And at the same time, and that acceptance has led to a whole lot more that's here to give.
Was there a certain, I mean, you said pain was kind of the motivator where you had to make the choice, like, well, do I want to be stuck in the past? And I love what you said, like, the past is, it's just a fragment of our imaginations. And by the way, Dr. Hasse and I have one of the same mentors in Dan Sullivan, and he's great at saying, hey, you create the future. You can also recreate the past based on the way that you look at your experience, and you can uncouple it and pull out any kind of energy that you want from that. And the forgiveness, letting go of that shame, the guilt, the heavy emotions that weigh us down is massive. And you're a living example of this. I see a lot of people talk about it, and then you meet them and you're like, I don't know. Yeah, I think there's some things you're holding on to. You can feel it, but you're someone who's wide open, and I love it. I love being around you. You're just incredible, and so happy you could be on here. So let's go into some of the biological parts, because you and I are both fascinated in that, and there's a way that biology impacts our physiology, and there's a way our psychology impacts all things as well. But if you looked at things biologically, what would you say is, like hematopoietic stem cells? I mean, what are you doing to regenerate the body that a lot of people may not know about?
Sure. Well, I think to step back a little bit, I think that there's several fundamental beliefs you have to ask yourself. Do you believe? Number one, do you believe the body's designed to heal? I do. I think we know that every one of our cells is healing every day. We should just kind of like spontaneously combust, but we don't. That's pretty amazing. I think that's and so no, the body is designed to heal. And if we want to heal the body, there's several things that we need to do to improve its ability to regenerate on a daily basis, because aging is essentially having more degeneration than regeneration in any day. So you want to decrease the degeneration and you want to increase the regeneration. Great. Awesome. Well, this is, so we take a personalized systems medicine approach to things. So what are the sum total of everything that lines up on the degenerative side of the equation? And how can we systematically identify and remove those things? I think that gets missed a lot. Infections, toxins, allergens, chronic injuries. Those are really powerful things on the degenerative side. Chronic stress, that's right on that side too. And then on the regenerative side, nourishment. How well are we nourished? How well do we give ourselves light and relationship and ease and sleep and those things to help us regenerate? But the vectors of regeneration are our stem cells. So, our gut is constantly making a new surface to our gut, because, that's a nasty business that goes on down there. And so our progenitor cells of the intestinal lining are constantly making a host of different specialized cells that are designed to make a barrier and to enable a container for the digestion and assimilation of our nutrients. Pretty amazing. It's like every 3 days we get a new gut surface. Those are the progenitor stem cells. And so that's a good idea to think about, because when you cut your hand, it just kind of knits itself back together. That's the difference between a cow and a steak, right? That's what life is about. And the cow will heal the wound, the steak won't. And that has to do with because the stem cells that are in that cow are able to activate, stimulate, divide, specialize, differentiate, connect, and form some scar, but actually recover a lot of function in response to that injury as well. So everything with regard to maintaining, the regenerative side of the equation is about what is the health of our stem cells. And we have stem cells throughout the body. We have tissue-based stem cells. And that is where the money is, okay? That is what we need to be focusing on, I believe. I think, it's great to go get an injection here or there, I'm going to go get these stem cells. I'm going to, great, because you can create some localized anti-inflammation and encourage tissue healing. Absolutely. But if we're really trying to change the body-wide regenerative side of things, what do we do to make our current stem cells behave younger, make them behave where they are, get them to do their job better? So I think so most of my work in the last 7 years has really been around how do we help identify and tune tissue resident stem cells to be more active, healthy, and to do the job of healing like a young person would do rather than an old person. So does that make? I just want to kind of get that background, because that's kind of
I love that.
I have two biases. I have a brain bias and I have a tissue-based stem cell bias. Those are kind of the two things I'm always going to plug on. Let's improve your brain. Let's understand and improve your brain function, and let's understand and improve your resident tissue-based stem cell function.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And so as you look at those resident tissue-based stem cells, so there's things that you're doing for the kid. And when you say tissue, you're meaning like the kidneys, the liver, the heart, the connective tissue, all the tissues in the body. So it's, and this is where I don't know if you've looked at Brian Johnson's work much. Yeah, I love watching what he's doing, and I'm like, I'm going to put that in my protocol, just because he's reversing his age so quickly. It's amazing. And I like how they've mapped out 72 different tissues, and they're looking at the age of each one of those structures instead of, relying on like telomeres, which those are, pretty much inaccurate, or even the true age test where you're looking at the methylation of the DNA. That's fascinating. But man, when you can get an ultrasound and see the size of an organ and the blood flow there and a full body image, that's where it gets I think that's where we can tell a lot more about the human body.
Absolutely. So a lot of this tissue-based stem cell stuff came out of my investigation of plasma exchange as a therapeutic tool. So therapeutic plasma exchange, we actually have the largest private plasma exchange center in the United States, I found out.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Yeah. We do more in this particular vein than any other center in the United States. Wow. And we've been, plasma exchange is this really cool, it's kind of standard medical procedure that it doesn't have a home inside of medical specialties, because it's kind of always been brought in the hospital as the last ditch effort to help somebody who is just, we call it piss poor protoplasm, right? They're sick, but you don't know why they're sick. Well, what plasma exchange does is the plasma is that liquid part of your blood, and through a machine that takes out the blood and separates out the cells or the solid parts of the blood from the liquid parts of the blood. The liquid part of your blood is plasma, keeps all the solid cells and platelets and such, and mixes them with a plasma replacement fluid and puts it back in your body, but then removes all that removes the quote disease or old or dirty plasma. And then it recycles that. And like in one session, we will remove 3.5 to 4 liters of somebody's plasma. We're basically giving them an entire oil change to their body. And so this particular therapy has been shown incredible benefit in reprogramming stem cells. And I'm going to come back to the basic science in that in a second here, because I think it's just so useful to come back and look at. But we're doing right now what we believe is the world's most advanced study on human aging as it regards tissue-based stem cells. And we're looking at a massive number of factors to figure out why is this so potent as an age reversal strategy. Why are we seeing the results we're seeing, so that we can continue to improve our recommendations on dosing, like how much people should get, how often should they get it, what should go with it. This is not an easy therapy to deliver, honestly, and it's kind of a pain in the arse, but but it works. So you do it.
Yeah.
And so anyway, but I want to go back to this because I think it's amazing. Parabiosis is what changed my mind on all this stuff. Parabiosis, and lots of people know about this study, take two mice that are clones of each other, an old mouse and a young mouse, and you basically sew them together so their little sides are shared, and they share a microcirculation. After about a week of being sewn together and running around the cage, an amazing thing really happens. That old mouse starts to turn young. Their tissue starts to regenerate body-wide. And there's components that happen. You see regeneration of the liver. So fatty liver reverses. You see osteoporosis of the old mouse reverse. You get to see T cell and B cell fractions, which are the immune system, become more targeted and active. We see regeneration of skin, improvement of muscle healing after injury and muscle growth, and new neurogenesis. I mean, this is quite a list. And then not only that, but in the studies that have looked at it, those mice may live an average of 20 to 30% longer. So there's actual age extension that goes on, which is really fascinating. So when they've gone back and they said, well, why? This parabiosis was repeated many times, like Berkeley, Stanford, MIT. This is kind of the PhDs, equivalent of like the baking soda and vinegar volcano in junior high school, right? Mm. So at the science fair, because it's just cool as heck. We got to figure this out. And but anyway, that it works. And they started to sit back, well, why does it work? And so a lot of good basic science has gone into this. And a lot of people want to say, oh, it's the young blood. It's the young blood. Young blood does it. And I was one of those advocates very strongly. Actually, did the world's first total plasma exchange using young plasma. And then, but the more the science actually happened is it was revealed that the real problem is the toxic crap that is in old, right? Mm-hmm. Old plasma is toxic. The plasma contains a continuous messaging system to the stem cells. And so it turned out if you just pulled out the old plasma in an old mouse and put in just clean plasma replacement fluid, something we call albumin, they got almost all the same changes just by removing the old. And so I'm certain, we're actually in active investigation about whether factors can be added in, because we think that is still a part of the situation. But the most important part was essentially getting that oil change, because this is the big secret. If anybody can remember anything at all, is that stem cells behave the age of their environment. Right. So
and the blood is the environment.
Yeah, exactly. Wow. So the old stem cells, when put into a young or a clean environment, will then start behaving young. And old stem cells start doing the things young stem cells do, which is dividing and healing and getting out of senescence and, shifting into a pattern of regeneration. So I think that's really a powerful understanding that our stem cells behave the age of their environment. And I think the other thing I want to emphasize about this, that all of these beautiful lifestyle behaviors and things that we've been talking about forever, right? Meditate, let go of your stress, drink water, eat clean food, you breathe clean air. Guess what? The health of your cellular environment is helped there, right? So I believe all those things are also, and we hope to in additional studies after we have all this quantified. I think we're going to be doing this with some lifestyle studies to show, is there the potential for showing how much we turn back the age of our stem cells with excellent lifestyle interventions, which is going to be awesome. So,
man,
let me tell you the study. The study.
Yeah. So I was just going to ask. Give us the details on it.
So our study is fully enrolled already. So, matter of fact, our last patients are going through the last phases. But this is a blinded trial. of plasma exchange, and we are testing multiple different dosings, multiple different timings, multiple different ways of tweaking it. But we're doing full-scale metabolomics, full-scale proteomics, full-scale methylomics. We're doing quantitative EEG assessment of the brain. We have an OCTA, which is a really amazing eye quantification device. So you can look in behind the eye and actually measure the level of neural layers and the microvasculature. We're quantifying it being glycocheck, which measures the glycocalyx and the microcirculation. We are using echocardiograms, other additional neurologic testing, neuropsychiatric testing. So we're going to have really what I think is the world's largest data set on this space, and really be able to understand the why behind what we're doing, and then continue to make more improvements. And this is like I said, doing this plasma exchange well is very different than just doing it. I mean, it's anyways, it's so interesting. So there's so much to learn here. And as you can tell, I'm a bit excited about it because to me, we're really on the precipice of understanding some of the major mechanisms of aging in a way that we can understand how we can actually change our trajectory. That's amazing. So at Maxwell Clinic, we currently have 4 IRB approved studies going on right now.
Wow.
We have 3 going on right now, and we'll be starting recruitment for another one. And because I think we've got to get this data out there. This stuff is way too important to not be studying and publishing and doing things the right way, proving, we've got a lot of hypothesis. We've seen people get better.
Right.
But with our study, we did this as a blinded study. I mean, we have a sham control. I mean, people got their needles put in, and the sham control in itself was an adventure like you can't begin to believe. So they didn't know whether or not they were actually getting plasma exchange or not, because we want to be really solid with our science. Making sure what we're doing is not just hand waving or sizzle, but we're actually delivering steak. And anyway, so very excited about that. That was a long time in the making, and the data. Oh, and I forgot the other thing is we're doing single cell transcriptomics. So the ability to actually look at an individual cell and measure the transcriptome, which is all of the RNA that is present in that cell at that time, and then doing that for 500,000 to 1 million cells.
Wow. And then with that data, then you can see how well the genetic expression is, or if there's epigenetic dysfunction. I mean, you can see all the data. That's like getting the software out of the cell and reading it.
It is because, but people don't get about it. We do transcriptomic testing even for our regular patients here at Maxwell Clinic. But, and that what's cool about the transcriptome is that it's letting you know which DNA is turned on at that time.
Yeah.
I think that's such an important piece of data to know, because, how do you know if a therapy works? How do you know if a therapy works? And I think if you're changing genetic expression, you're really making a huge difference, right? That's not just changing a blood level incrementally. It's like, taking a little extra magnesium. You take a little extra magnesium level changes. But what's really interesting is how many genes change their expression pattern as a result of taking that magnesium, right? How much, if you treat an underlying infection, how does the genetic expression change? Because the immune system is talking to every immune cell is talking to every other immune cell in the body. And so you change immune behavior in one space. Now that immune dysfunction, which I really think is a centerpiece of dementia, that can change. So that's another one I studied. We're actually, we use therapeutic plasma exchange to treat autoimmune disease, but also dementia. And so we have another study that we are partnered with the University of Iowa in a new Alzheimer's diagnostic, because the AMBAR study showed that repeated plasma exchange reverses cognitive decline of Alzheimer's disease.
Yeah.
I mean, so this is a treatment that is many times better than these current monoclonal antibodies that are coming on the market, is available, incredibly safe, and we can have 60% decrease in the rate of progression of advanced Alzheimer's disease over 14 months. Or we can have actual improvement in individuals that have mild Alzheimer's disease over those 14 months with just this therapy, not looking at everything else. So I think it's hard. It's very exciting. It's very exciting. The body is designed to heal. So let's remove the things that are impeding it. Let's add in the things that are helping it and let it do its work.
Yeah, I love that because, biology, and I've talked about inputs and outputs, and the pleiotropic nature of it is, you can put one input in and it creates 1,000 different outputs. And so, you remove one of those interferences, like the toxic blood or the old plasma, and you put in some recharged plasma, and you're going to get a massive change in that person's biology. It's no different. We put in a peptide, and that single pathway opens up 1,000 different pathways. So with plasma exchange, you can go to a typical hospital and there's plasma exchange centers all over the place. What's the difference in what they're doing in more conventional medicine versus what you guys are doing at the Maxwell Clinic?
Well, yes, every major hospital will have the ability to do plasma exchange. I'm a member of the professional organization, the American Society for Apheresis Medicine. I mean, we just had our annual international conference. This is done around the world. But the challenge is that these indications right now, for the reversal of cognitive decline, for the promotion of regeneration, there are not diagnosis codes. We don't consider aging a disease yet. So therefore, there's not a diagnostic code. Therefore, there's not a billing code. And these large organizations just are not being flexible enough to be able to offer this at this present time. It will come. It will come quickly, and we're here. We are here to be part of the solution. That's where it is. And part of the reason we're doing all these studies is to say, how can we increase the adoption of this done well? And so it's not a matter of, and the problem is, we've mentored some folks to help get started. And then, this is a difficult procedure to actually help to accomplish. Okay. I mean, there's a lot of training, there's a lot of staffing, there's a lot of very expensive equipment and expensive machines. And it's just, it is it was funny. I was having a really in-depth conversation with a friend of mine, and he asked, well, how do you decide what you do? And because my life's passion has been, how do we discern and deliver what's wise and works to create health? Yeah. But there's a lot of things that create health. So what are you going to work on, David? And to me, I think about, well, what if I don't do it, will somebody else do it? Mm. And I've been working on this plasma exchange, motif for like about 7 years. This has been, it's just now some people are kind of becoming aware of it. And the way the general medical world changes is so incredibly slow. I know the other study we're running right now, or we'll be recruiting for, is a study where we're recruiting individuals with early Alzheimer's disease and cognitive impairment. And this is the first it's going to be a landmark study, a randomized controlled study to assess a precision medicine platform for the reversal of cognitive decline, not using plasma exchange. Okay. So we're looking at the other side of the equation. What are all those factors that need to be removed and addressed? And there's really good data for that in the medical literature, but not enough to where yet the conventional world is taking it up. So we're going to stand in the balance. We're going to, if the data is there that we can create health without creating harm, it's a moral obligation to move forward and to dig into it. It's fun. It's fun to get to see people change.
And what will you do in that study if you're not doing plasma exchange? What therapies are you looking at?
Oh yeah. So this is it's called the Evan-Thea trial. And the Evan-Thea trial, we're one of 6 sites. And we're going to be looking at a whole host of conditions. So we're going to be doing deep diagnostics, genetics, infectious disease, toxins, allergens, nutrients, nutrient sufficiency, and then treating that individual like a human.
Oh,
right.
How
about that? How about that? So we're actually going to treat them as we would want to be treated, which is
like we've always treated humans. Yes.
Right. No, I mean, no shit, Sherlock. This is what we should be doing, right? Because it drives me nuts that all these studies are out there that, okay, we're going to figure out one bug for one drug so we can make a blockbuster killing on the stock market. That's not the way you treat a human. Humans have a lot of little problems that add up to really big problems.
Yeah.
Now let's start addressing all those things that have the very least likelihood for harm and the greatest likelihood for benefit, and let's do all of them simultaneously, or as many of them as we can. And then so we'll be doing nutrition. We'll be utilizing antibiotics if we need to, dietary therapy, exercise therapy, memory, games. We're going to be implementing. So we've done a lot of work on neurofeedback. We use neurofeedback to treat dementia or depression, anxiety, attention deficit disorder, such people that just need a better brain. And then we're also have photobiomodulation that's going on in that time. We've got platforms for that, and hyperbaric oxygen. So, but no, not everybody's going to get all that, right?
Mm-hmm.
But we have some criteria to say what's most likely going to derive benefit for those individuals. And then let's see if we're right. And then learn from where we're wrong, continue to improve our process and start moving that forward. So if there's anybody out there with big money, hey, we need more research studies done like this. This is privately funded by an individual philanthropist who is saying, no, we know this works. So we're going to put up the many millions of dollars to run a study like this so that we can be treated as we would want to be treated, which is, looking at ourselves as a whole human with biology and psychology and prior injuries and infections and opportunities and dreams. And, we get to bring medicine back into the realm of the human with every choice, with everything we say, everything we do. We, as patients, as physicians, we can all be part of the solution. We can make medicine human again. And so I'm so hopeful for where we're all headed on this.
Man, I love that because every day you and I have conversations with colleagues, people in the conventional medical model. I just had 3 that attended one of our longevity masterminds over the weekend, and they can't wait to get out of it. They're gearing up to sell their practice. They're in their 60s and they're ready to exit. They couldn't be happier. You and I are just getting started. It's so fascinating. Every day gets better and better. And what you're doing is really moving the needle. And it's like, Tim Nelson with the stem cells, he's used philanthropy to accelerate his research. You're doing the same thing. I think that's brilliant. How can people get involved? What's the best way for them? Whether they want to be an investor or maybe part of their study, or they have maybe a family member who has some mild cognitive decline or Alzheimer's?
Absolutely. It's maxwellclinic.com. Start there. That's where you can enter, get more information about our research studies that are going on. You can apply to be a patient. Start at maxwellclinic.com. We named the clinic Maxwell. It's over 20. We've been doing this 20 years now. So so it's really fun to see all these people who are kind of starting up right now. It's like, oh, we discovered this. It's like, and even, I had mentors. We all stand on the shoulders of giants who have figured out things before, and who the job of everybody new coming into this space is to continue to make medicine better, right? None of us have it figured out, right? But I want to also say that any clinicians that are out there, especially if you're in Nashville, and you really want to exercise the fullness of your humanity as you practice excellent medicine, come seek us out at Maxwell Clinic. We have so many patients that are needing help, and we very much want to be the solution and not just transform individual human health, but help transform health care. The number of physicians, I have several medical school classmates that have already committed suicide. Wow. The hopelessness and helplessness and despondency in my colleagues. And I have so much respect for my specialist colleagues, my super subspecialists. We all need to be part of the solution. There is no us versus them in healthcare, not true healthcare. Yeah. And I'm going to tell you, my medical school classmates are some of the best humans that I have ever known in my life. Right. And it continues to go out, but they're in a system that sucks. They're in a system, and they don't really know how to get out of the system. So many doctors want to practice in accord with what their soul's desire is. They want to, but they don't know that they have a place. That more and more, we're determining to be one of those places, and we're also recognize the more that we step out and talk about this stuff, the more of these places will emerge, because hopefully the consumer will demand. People will go like, no, my health is my greatest asset in my life, right? It pales in comparison to anything in your frickin' bank account or your asset, right? Your health, if you don't have your health, you have nothing. And people, as you accumulate birthdays, you understand that. And so the world is changing, and I am going to continue to hold hope that the pain that people have will drive them forward towards better solutions. Your symptoms should be your friends. They're there to wake you up and let you know something's not as it should be. And it's your responsibility to then take action. So maxwellclinic.com is probably the single best place to get in contact with us. And we'd just love to be of service in any way we can.
Great. And then I've got to get you, we're having our Age Reversal Medicine Summit October 5th and 6th. So put that on your calendar. This is your official invite. I want you to be a speaker and presenter. I think what you're doing is just so fascinating. And I'm trying to get mentored. I'm like, let me send my medical team to you to get trained on the plasma exchange. So whenever you're ready, just let me know. We want to work with you. Yeah. Any way I can be a support, I'm happy to. I know you've got some exciting things coming up with the podcast, and so let me know when that comes out so we can promote it. And then I really appreciate you taking the time out of your busy schedule today, and love and appreciate you as a human and everything you're doing for so many great people in healthcare. So keep up the great work.
And I appreciate you. Thank you for holding up the light and for doing the right things for the right reasons, and continuing to move this whole community forward, right? Our first value statement at Maxwell Clinic is, we are Maxwell. And I really believe that. We are always smarter and more capable than me. The solutions that really happen are going to be because of we. And anybody listening to this, you are part of that solution. You are part of that solution. And how you are, I don't know. That's up for you to figure out. but thank you very much for this time. Look forward to all kinds of future collaborations. Beautiful stuff.
Sounds great. So everyone, share this with family, friends, loved ones. Check out Dr. Hasse at the maxwellclinic.com, and we will see you on the show next time. David, once again, thanks so much.
Thank you, Reagan.